and I am a child and maternal mental health therapist. And I have my certificate training in maternal mental health through Postpartum Support International. Um, I'm also a former NICU mom, and so that's what really has driven my work in the maternal mental health world. Just trying to also close some of the gaps that for things that I wish that I had when I was a NICU mom. And so along with that, one thing I'm really super passionate about is postpartum care for all moms, but especially for our NICU moms, because postpartum looks really different for our NICU moms and are often not really a part of the conversation. The considerations aren't always realistic for what a NICU family is experiencing. So that's a little bit of who I am, why I do what I do, and my company is called Foundations Counseling Services. So, because I'm a therapist, I work in doing counseling, and then under that is the Break Mama, and that's the part of my business that really focuses in on the experience of motherhood. Includes the maternal mental health, but I also work as a parent coach. I even have a free mommy and me music and story time that I do every other Monday. Just as something that moms can do as they are postpartum in that first year, but even I go up to 5 years, and you can like just enjoy
Oh,
the
wow.
yeah, and really enjoy motherhood and enjoy your kitties. So it's something I like to do. Me and my son love to sing. We want to share with other moms and kids.
Can you share a little bit about like your story, like with your baby and sort of like what you were missing when you went through as like a NICU mom and what sort of perspectives you had that you were able to bring to your business to help other moms?
Yeah, for sure. So the quick version of my story is like many Black women, I definitely was touched by racial bias. And I more so saw that play out when I became high risk and I was seeing a maternal fetal medicine doctor pretty much every week. And that's one of the
Okay.
high risk doctors that you can see. So I had what's called incompetent cervix or short cervix. So long story short, she did not want to do what she was supposed to do. She did not want to fix the cervix for a lot of other reasons. And so I almost lost my son. But it was me having to advocate and push forward that really got her to say, fine, I'll go ahead and give you the stitch on your cervix. Yeah, and she wanted to see me a week later, and I was like, you need to see me sooner. So between the time that I saw her, I must have saw her on a Thursday, I had somewhere between 2 centimeters and 1.5 centimeters left in my cervix, and
Wow.
I came in on a Monday, and I had zero point 0.5 left, and my
Wow.
sons were ready to come on out. So
Mhm.
had I gone home, I would have delivered at home a 23-weeker. But thank God, my story turned out different. So I was able to stay home. I was still visiting the doctors every week, and I switched my doctor to someone else.
Okay.
And I went my water broke early at 31 weeks, right
Okay.
across the street from the hospital. So I was admitted in that time and taken to what's called the antepartum unit. And that's where
Okay.
moms go who are high risk. Maybe your water broke early. Maybe your child has a defect. It's just where you stay so that you don't go into labor, right? And if you
Wow.
do,
Yep.
you're safe in the hospital to have all the medical.
Yeah. 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 Uh-oh. I'm gonna add Anise back to the broadcast. I think it was an internet thing and we lost it for a second.
Oh,
Hang on.
yeah.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
But yeah,
Sorry. You were saying that people were walking down the hall checking on the baby, but nobody checks on the mom. And you were saying, yeah, like through
yeah,
some mental health things for sure with all that was going on, understandably so.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I think that that's really, really a big thing that really pushed me forward in my career to really focus on maternal mental health is feeling like, why was
Yeah.
nobody checking in on my mental health, my wellness, when we know that when mommy is well, she always passes down more wellness to her to her infant, to her children, and that is a
Wow.
fact from pregnancy through all of motherhood. And so, you know,
Yeah.
when we look on social media, we see all of these mommy pages that talk a lot about self-care, and especially
Mm-hmm.
pushing mommy, take time for yourself. But you know, it's kind of hard to teach a woman when she's pregnant that she doesn't matter, right? Like that everything about the child comes first and she's a second or an afterthought, and then all of a sudden put this responsibility on her to like now know how to take care of herself, to now believe that she should come first in order to give her child the best. And so we have to really practice showing our moms that they matter early on, really want them to believe that and practice that later on in motherhood.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Wow. So let's talk about like what you think now about like caring for NICU families and what they can do in order to sort of prepare for that. Because honestly, some people kind of know that it may go that route where they may have a baby that ends up in the NICU, but a lot of times, right, you don't know, and it's something that happens unexpected. So how can people begin to sort of prepare for that?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Some people definitely do know.
Yeah.
It's like even in my case, I felt like, you know, I made it clear I did not have the best high risk care, and my
Yeah.
doctor should have told me straight up, like, this is a reality that you can be in the NICU, and I think that we need to talk about what that is going to look like. And
Right.
so, because I was seeing my high risk doctor every week, I wasn't seeing my regular OB often.
Okay.
So I didn't see my regular OB until I made the decision to switch over so that I could like she could see me one last time. I could get my records. And she was a black woman and she was the one that said to me, listen, you are pretty much gonna have a NICU baby. Like we're gonna be blessed and we're gonna be blessed
Mm,
if it doesn't happen. We pray it doesn't. But let's be
right.
real. Have you thought about what NICU would be best? And I was like,
Mm,
no, I haven't. Like, I didn't even think about the fact that some hospitals don't have NICUs and that there's different levels. Um, so it was already pretty late in the game, and obviously I didn't even know what that would mean for me. So
yeah.
families who are high risk, who know that for one reason or another, they may end up there. Um, Kind of what I do is I take what we would talk about in regular postpartum care and just kind of reframe that for what that would look like in NICU hood.
Okay.
And one of the things that we know is super important is rest, right? Like we talk about that, how we're gonna plan rest for a mom. Well, the average mom comes home, she's gonna be in bed. You know, maybe her support people are going to like keep the baby and bring the baby when it needs to be fed. Well, that's not
Right.
the reality in the NICU, right? So we have
Right.
what are barriers to rest for mom, and they're really unique to a NICU mom. A lot of
Mm,
it has to do with like mom's fear of leaving bedside, and that's connected to a lot of
yeah.
different, you know. So as a NICU parent, we often feel like our only ability to be a mom is to be bedside, and even
Mm,
then, we're not the primary person caring for our child. So stepping away feels like we're really depriving, not only ourselves, but we're depriving our infant of
mm,
mommy. And so there's that a lot of guilt that comes with that and a lot of shame that comes with stepping away. And
wow.
that can
Yeah.
be everything, you know? Like
Yeah.
even, you know, I heard you in the beginning talk about nutrition and nourishment in the
Yeah.
postpartum period. Like I can't
Yeah.
tell you how many times I was in the NICU and I was starving. Like
Mm,
didn't want to leave. And there's another barrier, a physical barrier. Like when you're coming into the NICU, every time you come in, you have to, with surgical soap, wash your hands for a minimum of 3 minutes, put on a brand new cover, everything so that you're sterile.
Mhm.
But these are things
Right.
that I'm tired of doing, right? Like, I don't want to wash my hands and have, dry, chappy hands all day,
Mhm.
every day. So some things that we can talk about is like, this is why it's so important to include the support people early on, right? Because support people
Mhm.
can understand, what does this begin to look like when mom is going into guilt and shame? And how can they get in the middle of that and say, hey, mommy, before you go to the NICU bay, let's draw a bath for you. Like, be those people in her life that just draws the bath, right? Takes care of,
Mhm.
because as support people, you might be feeling like she really wants to be there. We just have to get her there. But she also needs to be cared for, and she's not thinking about her care. So
Right.
people around her to be considering, oh my goodness, when she comes home tonight, let's have that bath ready. Let's have that meal ready. Um,
Mhm.
even when we talk about meal trains, right? Like, meal trains
Yeah.
are phenomenal. But we
Yeah.
always thinking about, like, when mommy comes home with a baby, what are we're gonna have like 2 or 3 weeks, of a meal plan. But what
Yeah.
happens to the NICU family who was they're in the NICU for all of these weeks, and then they come home with an infant? They need support throughout that entire period.
Right.
Um, and so when we talk about planning the postpartum period for them, just like with anybody, I really like to start with, who's your tribe, who is in your circle of
Mhm.
support? Because everybody's going to have to take turns, so that
Yeah.
resources are drained throughout the process. Because the reality is, you're going to need some people who can provide for you while in the NICU, and you might have
Mhm.
some seasons of time in the NICU where there's no support and you got to do it on your own. But at least
Yeah.
will do it for you throughout the time. It makes it a lot easier to get up and provide for yourself in those interim periods.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, I think that that's like really, really important, is to considering early on, is who can do this for how long, when can they do it,
Yeah.
and what provide. And always remembering that that postpartum period for a NICU family is elongated. It's longer.
Yeah.
It's prolonged, in fact, and so we are always thinking about the postpartum period beginning when mommy gets home with infant, and we're concerned about her because she's up with
Mhm.
infant. We're leaving out this whole sect of people that they're exhausted. They're not even home healing. They're getting up every day and running
Yeah.
to the hospital to sit and be bedside, and so they're not sleeping. So I would tell anybody to tell a NICU mom, encourage her.
Yeah.
You can sleep there. You can take a rest. Like, you can totally have a rest plan and still be bedside. Um, some NICUs have separate rooms. Like, you can have your own hospital
Oh.
room. And that's not all NICUs don't do that. So my NICU was like a
Okay.
long room where there were like lots of incubators spread out, so you can always look at the person next to you. So we would use partitioners to separate when we were breastfeeding, when we wanted
Okay.
privacy. So I
Right.
would say, anybody supporting a NICU family, you can just say that, like, let's create our plan of time, mom, and like, in between cares, you can take a nap and put the partitions around you and take a
Okay.
nap. You don't have to leave.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so
That's
one thing,
good to know.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I want to hear if
I
you
don't
have.
know. I was just saying that's good to know. So you can put up a partition if it is something that is more like public and you just want a moment to yourself. You can create that moment of privacy. That's awesome.
Exactly. And that's
Okay.
important, for a lot of reasons. Like, for bonding with the baby, you can have, you don't get to bring baby home and have
Yeah.
nursery and have that privacy. And nothing is going to replace that experience, but you can at least um, kind of recreate what that
Yeah.
privacy means, recreate what that bonding home with your family looks like.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and the other thing that I think is really important to also know about how it
Mhm.
works is that there's something called cares. And cares happens every 3 hours. And that's the time that your NICU nurse actually will take care of your child, when they're going to change diapers, feed, um,
Mm.
IV, all of those things. And so that's an
Okay.
opportunity. for mom to get engaged. A lot of times when your baby gets to a certain healthier level or a certain weight, they'll allow you to change the diapers, you know,
Okay.
allow you to hold baby during those times, to be a part of feeding. But in between those times, baby is asleep and knocked
Mm,
out. Like, a premature baby is not exactly like a newborn, because they're still like they still would have been in the NICU, so they sleep a whole even more than newborn sleep. So you
okay.
can rest assured that in that 3 hour period, that baby is sleeping. You can't do nothing for that baby. So I would
Mm,
support people to say, let's plan your day, let's plan your day out or your week out, and say in between your cares from 3:30 to 6, if you need a nap, that's when you're going to take your nap. And
mm,
making sure that mom has like a NICU bag. We talk about having a hospital bag, particularly when we talk about premature birth. A lot of moms don't have that, right? They don't get the experience of packing that
right.
hospital bag. But we can talk about packing that NICU bag, right? So making sure
Mm,
mom has her necessities to be comfortable, to be healthy, and to be nourished on a daily basis. So what
okay.
does she need for it? Mom, do you have like those little pillows that go around the neck to sleep
Oh yeah.
calmly? Do you have like a special blanket that you want to bring?
Mm,
You can't eat a meal in the NICU, but you might be able to sneak some snacks. So, bring some healthy cookies or something in those bags. Whatever it is, just making sure that mom knows like she can also pack this bag and bring it with her to ensure that she's getting that rest in between those cares. That cares is also a great time to leave and go eat. Um,
yeah.
if she has a meal train, we always talk about making sure that people bring meals that can be frozen.
Mm,
So it makes it even better for a NICU mom if they can be frozen, because she can
yeah.
actually pack and take them or warm them up in the microwave on the L&D floor. So even just minute things like that.
Love that.
If you're thinking about a gift to give a NICU mom, right? Maybe she hasn't had a baby shower yet, or
Yeah.
she has, but you really want to get something that might be useful. Um, like some type of like storageware that can be individualized. So like if she has a big storage of
Mm,
like, right, one
mm-hmm.
thing that makes it easier is, instead of mommy having to like cut that out every morning or halfway rushing out, if in advance she has small storages where she can put her frozen meals, every night, so she can run out the door and grab that, and then she knows that she's gonna eat. She has something to eat,
Yeah.
be worried. So those are kind of some of the small, minute details of things that I would kind of give any
Yeah. That's
want to
really
support
good.
the family.
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, hey, welcome to the Your Birth Network page. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is Anise. She's absolutely fantastic. She is giving us like tips for helping families that we know that may have babies that are in the NICU about how they can care for themselves, also care for their baby, and what their support system around them can do in order to still support the family, because obviously this postpartum period looks different, right, than it will for like a typical family. So Anise is just reminding us of so many great things, from the fact that, you can research if you know ahead of time that your baby is going to be in a NICU. You can research different NICUs in your area to see like what's available. If they have private rooms, things of that nature, you can research that ahead of time. You can also pack a NICU bag for when you go see your baby, just to make sure that you are comfortable and that you have blankets and food and things like that with you. That way you can make sure to nourish and care for yourself while you're also bedside and caring for your baby. So we're talking about that now. I want to thank Anise so much for joining us. This is such good information that I know for sure people won't have known otherwise. I am kind of curious though, with COVID and with the pandemic going on, if that has like changed like some of the advice that you would give to NICU families and how people can support during postpartum, or if there are other tips you would give now that the pandemic is going on. Has things changed like in the NICU in your area that you know of, and has your advice changed to NICU moms?
So for the most part, my advice remains the same.
Okay.
Um, I think that the only differences I would make is in terms of handling of food. Instead of having a meal train with people are cooking for you regularly, if you're uncomfortable
Mhm.
with that, being able to just ask people, can they send over meals from restaurants? Or if they
Okay.
can just like give to you gift cards so that
Yeah.
you ordered. But even outside of the gift cards, I would still totally recommend the meal train, because the gift card puts the responsibility on mommy to feed herself. And we all,
Right.
no matter what type of like, birth experience you had, making sure
Yeah.
that mommy eats is hard, right? We just don't do that. We're thinking
For
about,
sure.
and we're exhausted. Um,
Yeah.
so just, you know, it's okay to tell people, like, you know what, right now during the pandemic, I'm not comfortable with food made at home and brought over. So if you can just, bring food, order food from restaurants, we're totally
Yeah.
comfortable with. That's the only
Okay.
real way my advice would change. And then the other part with the support circle,
Mm-hmm.
um, is that of course we know that we are not able to have as many people coming in and out of our homes to be a
Right.
support for us. So we, kind of have to reimagine what support looks like from all of these people, and how can they do those things from where they are,
Right.
so they can't be present. And so the amazing thing about, the time that we're in is there's so much technology.
Yeah.
If you're if you're the aunt who would have been there cooking and providing food, just like we talked about with the meal train, then
Yeah.
instead you can be who orders, food to send. DoorDash is there. Instacart can come and bring food,
Yeah. It's a lot.
you know.
Yeah.
But one challenge and struggle that I think is hard to overcome during the pandemic
Hmm.
with it, being in the NICU, is that because your postpartum period is so prolonged,
Yeah.
and you need support so much longer, it makes it easier. Like, obviously if the support can be staggered, right? If you can say,
Yeah.
my aunt is going to come for 2 weeks in the NICU, then my grandma, then my mom, then we'll have like a week by ourselves. When we come home eventually, we'll start the process over of people sharing the load with us. But that is
Yeah.
not necessarily possible right now. um
Right.
so I would just say, I understand that, and it's like there's nothing that we can do to change that. And my
Yeah.
heart really goes out to mommies in the NICU during this time. And so I
Yeah.
would encourage you in advance to think about the top 3 people that you can
Yeah.
trust, quarantine themselves, people that before they come to your home, before they come into to be a support to you in this time, that are willing to take the time, okay?
Yeah.
Before they come, and then asking those people to really stick to themselves, stick to the house, stick to the
Yeah.
NICU, so that they can be a support for you. Um, and so that's really the only way that I would say, like, you really can kind of reimagine or kind of
Yeah.
switch up what
That's a great
support will
idea.
look. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. So, hey, everybody who's just joined, thank you so much for joining Black Mom Collective. I am talking to Anise. Anise is absolutely fantastic. She went through Postpartum International and she was able to get training to support people through the postpartum period with their mental health. She also is a NICU mom. So she has given us tips about how, as a support system, we can support families who have babies in the NICU, things that NICU parents can do to prepare ahead of time, and then now during COVID, when we can do even more in order to make NICU families that we're supporting more comfortable, and also to still support them, just kind of reimagine. Obviously, like, meal trains are really popular. Sometimes people might not feel comfortable with food being prepared at home. And so we're talking about how you can drop off meals from restaurants, organize that for a new family, get COVID testing voluntarily, involuntarily, quarantine yourself if you want to be there in person to support a family. So that's the things that we're talking about now. Anise, you gave some really, really great tips, all the way from like the NICU bag to researching NICUs and so many other things. Did you have anything else that you want to make sure that you share with everyone? Any like last thoughts, tips, or tricks?
Yeah, I think the last 2 things I would say is,
Mhm.
um, outside of the medical or all of that side, is like, mom should still be centered during this experience. Like,
Yeah.
she still just became a mom,
Yeah.
and deserves to get to feel special, um, honored, taken care of. And one thing that a lot of NICU moms talk about, including myself, is wishing maybe we have more pictures of ourselves with the baby in the
Mm.
NICU. And
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, so I have
Yeah.
tons of pictures of my son in the NICU. I have tons of pictures of him with other family members, but not as
Mm.
much of me with him in there. So
Okay.
I would support people, whether you're a postpartum doula who's bedside in the NICU, a NICU
Mhm.
nurse, a family member, is to just say, "Hey, mommy, you know what? Your smile looks beautiful today. Um, can I? I'm about to snap a couple pictures with you and your baby. Making sure
Yeah.
that she has that memory back on because that's really her motherhood doesn't start when baby comes home. It starts then. So
Yeah.
she should also have experiences and time. Um, I will also say, like, with the COVID and not being able to have as many family members coming into the NICU,
Hmm.
there's always been restrictions, right? Corona or
Yeah.
not, you
Right.
typically can only have, two people in there at a time, but the restrictions are much, they're much more strict right now.
Right.
So I would say use technology to your advantage.
Okay.
Like I said, if we have the predictability of cares, we know what time that the baby is going to be up, what time he's going to change. So
Yeah.
schedule a Zoom call with your family. Baby's getting cared at 6. Ask everybody to jump on Zoom at 6 p.m. so that
Hmm.
part of some normal things that babies go through. Oh my gosh, let's see him change his diaper. Oh my goodness, like look at him being fed and share some of those exciting moments with your family through technology. Um,
Yeah.
and then for anybody, especially I love to share this advice with postpartum doulas. Um,
Hmm.
when we prepare, let's also prepare for like the mental health aspect. Um,
Yes.
we can support our families by in advance researching what maternal mental health therapists are already in their area and connecting our families with that person. Most therapists will give at least a 10 to 20-minute consultation. So being able to say, hey, this is a maternal mental health therapist in your area and build that relationship. So this is one that I know. I work with her. I've recommended her before. Um,
Hmm.
she can give you like a 15-minute free talk for consultation so that you guys can build a rapport. And so
Okay.
that way, if mom is experiencing some responses to trauma in the NICU, or even just any mom coming home experiencing any sort of perinatal mood anxiety or
Yeah.
depression, any um, anxiety or mood disorder, she knows who she can go to.
Mm.
So we already have
Yeah.
that barrier of saying, like, acknowledging that a mom is going through that, but then we have to get her to the point where she'll get help. So we can
Okay.
remove some of those barriers early on by saying,
Yeah.
hey, you trusted me as your doula, and I want to say that this is somebody that you can talk to and see if you feel connected to. Add her to your list. We're going to add her phone number to the list. And so
Mm.
when these symptoms and stuff come up, you probably want to give her a call and see if you can start working with her. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, those are my last things that I would say.
Love it. That's an awesome segue. So, Anise, how can people contact you? Where can they find you online? And are you currently like taking clients personally for therapy and then also in your cool mommy and me group that you have on Mondays?
Yes, so yes to all of the above.
Okay.
So you can find me right here on Instagram at _breakthrough mama.
Okay.
And then I also have my website, which is called thebreakthroughmama.com. And here on Instagram, you can go to my link in bio so that you can connect with me. I give a free 15-minute consultation so we can talk
Okay.
what services would be best for you. And in terms of services, the three things that I provide is, of course, maternal mental health counseling, and my niche is for moms who are in a high risk pregnancy.
Okay.
If you are currently in the antepartum unit in a hospital, and if you are a current or former NICU mom, I work with those three people.
Okay.
Other service that I offer is postpartum planning. So if you don't have a doula,
Mhm.
if you haven't felt that you wanted a doula, but you really, really find the value in planning in advance, um, I offer services to help you do that. Um,
Okay.
as well as especially for NICU families. As you can see, like planning postpartum can look quite different for a NICU family. So if
Right.
you know you're going to be a NICU family and you don't already have a doula and you haven't done all that, I offer postpartum planning for that. And
Okay.
last, parent coaching. So yes, for a long time I have been a child
Mm,
therapist. So I got you, girl, from conception to your parents getting motherhood. And so you
nice.
can reach out to me through the same channels. And as somebody who focuses on motherhood and parenting, I have a free Mommy and Me music and story time. And you can sign up for that by going to the link in my bio. And
Okay.
the very tab in my link is to sign up for the free class. And the next one is on August 10th, Monday at 10:30 a.m. And it's a lot
Nice.
of fun, singing, story time, a little dancing. And I generally open up at the end for like one common question that a lot of parents are having, and I'll
Okay.
give expertise. So I also encourage the moms to connect because during this corona time we're isolated too, like
Yeah.
moms, we're missing out on our mommy dates and things like that. So it's
Yes,
also
for
an
sure.
exactly, it's an opportunity for mommies to share what they are doing to get through um, mothering during the pandemic and just have
Yeah.
other people to talk.
That's so awesome. I want to thank you so much for joining us, Denise, and for lending us your time and your expertise. Everybody, definitely please follow the Breakthrough Mama. Please DM her if you have absolutely any questions about any of her fabulous services. Her Mommy and Me class is signing up. I can't even believe it, but July is out of here and August is already here. So definitely sign up. You don't want to miss the next class. And so if you guys like have absolutely any questions, definitely DM Anise. I'll be happy to take any questions as well and get them over to her if you guys want me to. Happy to do that as well. And then I'm going to link everything too in the description of this video. So I'm going to grab her link from her bio and put it in there along with her website so you guys can easily find that. Schedule your 15-minute consultation to make sure that it's a good fit. And that way you can get somebody on your support team who knows exactly where you are and what you have been through and who can guide you through the entire process all the way through planning how you want to parent and getting parenting coaching as well. So I want to thank you so much, Denise, for joining us. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Thank you so much for staying to the end, and we will see you next week.
Thanks
Bye.
for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.